Hey, RetconRaider here. Today's video is dedicated to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, with special thanks to Nine Knives, Revenant, Alois, Anerdinwarpaint, Dragon Matrix 7, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, Kazorm, Lima, Nathan Welch Jr., Tomasz Piątkowski, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, let's get started. And welcome back to Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, as we continue our slow but steady march towards the end of Act 1. We do still have about a dozen things left on our to-do list, but it's not that bad, and I feel like I've got it pretty well parceled out over the next couple of episodes. There's a fair chunk of dialogue, but I've tried to weave it in relatively organically. We've also got a few adventure locations to hit. Obviously, the biggest being Roguespierre's mansion, which we didn't quite get to last time around, so that's our focus today. But then we've also got 3 optional locations, plus there's a new series of tougher optional encounters out at the marketplace post-siege, so we're definitely going to touch on those as well. Plus, we now have the benefit of no longer having that timer hanging over our heads, so we can afford to rest when we need to after any particularly tough encounters. So that should definitely help. Here we go. I thank you for saving the esteemed citizens of Kenabres, even though not all of them deserve to be saved. May Iomade forgive my words. Irbeth casts a meaningful look at Count Hernandez, sitting at a nearby table. I don't really mean that, of course. I just never fail to be astounded by the way that good people seem to perish, while the not-so-good prove to be incredibly, amazingly enduring. Yeah, well, that's why I'm still here. Alright, Irbeth, I'll bite. What's your beef with Daeran? Oh, no, nothing like that. I think he dislikes all paladins equally. But the real question is, who does he like? Only his hangers-on, I'd wager. Actually, I very much got the impression he disdains them as well. He certainly wasn't broken up about half his party guests getting slaughtered. The Count has a certain reputation in Mendev. He's certainly not a pleasant individual by any means, but he's not known for any particular villainy either. The Count enjoys a life of leisure surrounded by a gaggle of sycophants, who are always eager to badmouth the Queen at his command. He likes settling scores, too. There was a hero of the First Crusade, Sir Lant, a kind and honest man. After the end of his glorious career as a soldier, he became a wise mentor to the younger generation. He ran afoul of the Count somehow, perhaps by lecturing him about his idle lifestyle and lack of purpose. When Sir Lant died, the Count managed to buy a portion of his estate, and ordered the knight's helmet to be reforged into a chamber pot. And of course, he didn't keep his little joke to himself. The Queen was particularly affronted by it because Sir Lant used to be her most loyal comrade in arms. I was there receiving an assignment from Her Majesty and witnessed the exact moment she found out about the helmet's fate. It's a small thing, but I could see the Queen's anguish at the travesty that had been made of her friend's legacy. That is what our Count is like as a person. And as for his talent for survival, do you know the story of Heaven's Edge? He was the only member of his family to escape with his life when the demons unleashed a magical plague at the Hernandez estate. You know, we did hear about that back at the Tower of Estrid. There was a portrait, but what can you tell us about that? Well, I don't know all the details. It happened a while ago, back when I was a mercenary, and had nothing to do with Kenabres. I only know that there was a grand feast in honor of Daeran's birthday, and all his relatives were invited, along with a few other distinguished guests. Everyone died from a mysterious disease someone had unleashed on the estate, including the servants, the guards, and a number of clerics and paladins. But the young count survived, because of his healing ability, I suppose. Daeran does possess an unusually brilliant talent, even if the application of his skills leaves much to be desired. Irabeth scowls. Why do you think he's trying to pick a fight with the Queen? Who knows? It could be some family matter. The Count is Her Majesty's cousin, twice removed, or something like that. But I think he simply enjoys infuriating people. Crusaders and Diomede's servants, especially. Gotta say, that is some interesting food for thought. Thanks, Beth. My pleasure. I'm sorry you had to endure my grumbling. Watching these things happen to my city has put me in a foul mood. Alright, I think that's it for Beth, at least for now. We'll come back to her later. For now, though, let's go have a chat with Daeran. Get to know the guy a little better and see if we can figure out what his deal is. Or at least get some hints. The Defender's Heart is a splendid choice for the Crusaders' outpost. The very sight of these walls brings back fond memories of drinks and revels. The drinks were really good, by the way. Hey Day, people are saying that you're deliberately trying to provoke Queen Galfrey. Is that true? Does it even matter? All of Mendevian high society has declared war on me. They either despise me or they're trying to steer me back onto the right path, and I'm doing everything in my power to keep them on their toes. I relish the prospect of all the fun this mess in Kenabres will bring. Daeran grins from ear to ear. I shall either commission a song about the great Kenabres fiasco from a certain talented bard, or confuse the jewelers with a rather tall order. A batch of silver dragon toys with detachable heads. Give me a week and they will be in every shop in the capital. So he's definitely deliberately trying to provoke people. Though, to be fair, I don't think Vex would really be the type to be invested either way. He barely knew Tyrendelev, so he's certainly not going to fight for her posthumous respect. Yeah. Hey, if you're going to go through the trouble of making the head detachable, why not make the rest of the limbs detachable too? Kids love battle damage. Daeran laughs. So be it. From now on, you are my muse. Very amusing. So, as your new muse, you mind if I get to know you slightly better? You can certainly try. Okay. Well, that's not encouraging, but let's start with Heaven's Edge. I hope you don't feel obliged to offer me your insincere condolences on this unfortunate occasion. My whole family, my entire noble line, they all died. And demons are to blame. It's not like I actually loved any of my relatives, except for my mother, but what's gone is gone. The family crypts are full of corpses, all covered in dust and shadows of the past. You know, Daeran, you really don't seem to give a flip about anyone, so why bother with healing? What's up with that? Well, if you want to try out everything life has to offer, you also have to understand how to deal with the consequences. And I'm not talking about a simple hangover, mind you. Well, you know what? I think we've asked quite enough about that subject. Thank you. Moving on. Okay, so what do you actually care about? What do you, cherish? There are far too many things that I cherish to fit them all into a single conversation. Believe it or not, but I might be one of the most life-loving people you've ever known. Daeran smiles. His eyes are gleaming with something different from his usual impudence and irony. There's a dreamy air about him all of a sudden. I rarely meet anyone who embraces the joys of living as enthusiastically as myself. There are so many exciting and beautiful things in the world, It should be illegal to waste your time on something you do not enjoy. And I am not afraid to repeat that to anyone's face. Should it be Discari and his demonic herd, or Iomade the Lightbringer herself? Well, that's intriguing. Okay, flip side, what do you hate the most? The feeling of helplessness, the lack of control over my own life. Daeran replies without thinking. Then he adds with obvious sarcasm. And onion rings, of course. I'd murder the person who came up with those abominations. Well, Daeran, that just means you haven't had good onion rings. Get a better chef. Though I guess you'll have to anyway, because your last one got torn apart by demons. Alright, Daeran, I'm sure a guy like you's got some stories. Regale me with your exploits. I've got plenty, but I have to warn you that even the most outrageous debauchery sounds far less thrilling when you are not the one doing the debauching. Still, since you asked, I suppose the worst mess I've ever gotten myself into was when I staged my own kidnapping. I was once in correspondence with one of the Riverlands nobles, the young Lord Lebeda. Oh, we know him. He's one of the potential advisors from Kingmaker. From what I understand, not a very good one. And he told me about his days as a hostage to a group of bandits. This made me wonder what it would be like, and I thought that it might be fun to set up a little experiment. Yeah, I guess Silverleaf met Lebeda all the way back in episode 1 of our Kingmaker series. At Lady Aldori's ceremony right after the assassin attack. He was very insistent about wanting to become Silverleaf's advisor. But we didn't pick him, so he basically just fell out of the story after that. I engineered my own kidnapping by a certain gang through a chain of intermediaries and hired actors. Those fellows took the job very seriously. They caught me by surprise, killed my 2 bodyguards, and even tied me up. Of course, the whole thing seems preposterous now, but it seemed like an ingenious idea at the time. The employer had told the kidnappers that they were to keep me safe and sound, and another group of mercenaries in disguise were watching the spectacle from afar, ready to interfere in case anything went wrong. It turned out to be a terrible idea nonetheless. It wasn't the least bit fun or exciting. Sure, those bandits had been unable to torture or hurt me physically in any way, but they had plenty of other non-invasive methods of humiliation in their arsenal. Taking almost all of your clothes off and splashing ice-cold water all over you, for example. Ugh. I can't even remember if I said anything truly offensive to provoke them. I'm gonna guess you did. Even though I initially planned to let them go after the ransom, their overly emotional reactions made me change my mind. I told my mercenaries to hang them all on the spot. I suppose the whole ordeal taught me a valuable lesson, which is that I am not built for hardships and trials. How would, I'm not even sure how Vex would respond to this. So wait, you got your own bodyguards killed? I don't know, Daeran. I'm all for a good time, but that sounds pretty skeevy. Daeran pales a bit, but not out of shame. Oh, spare me. It irks me beyond all measure when I hear about the suffering of innocents. He sighs, looks away, and continues in a flat tone. Yes, the bodyguards died. Guarding nobles is a dangerous job. They were well aware of the risk. I don't really see a problem with that. Besides, they proved their incompetence. They would have stood no chance against real kidnappers. Well, I guess what's done is done, so no sense in crying about it now. Can't really blame you, I guess. I'd say life's too short not to try everything at least once. I shall console myself with that thought. So that was a stupid story, and now I'll tell you a truly brilliant one. Prelate Halrin had always strictly prohibited any public celebration in Kenabres, and he always picked on me for my lack of respect for the fallen and whatnot. His grumbling annoyed me so much that one day I drove 4 barges into the city harbor and set up a celebration on their decks. The ships on the river didn't fall under the prelate's jurisdiction, you see, so all he could do was snarl at me from the embankment. I, for one, did not forget the old boy. The main attraction of the festival involved an inquisitor of Iomedae, dancing and roasting beautiful witches on illusory bonfires, taking off his clothes with every new victim. The spectacle was so heated, in every sense of the word, that the prelate almost had a stroke. Daeran gives you a mischievous smile. I still consider that one of my finest ideas of all time. Should the Crusaders ever succeed in their efforts against the World Wound, I will do my utmost to get permission to hold a grand public celebration. Rivers of wine free of charge, an obligatory parade, and a carnival in the evening. A contest for the most provocative succubus costume, with a hefty prize in gold. Another contest where the participants have to fish a sausage out of a wine jar blindfolded, with their hands tied behind their backs. The wine will symbolize the blood of all the dead heroes of the war, and the sausage, well, they'll find a heroic meaning for that as well. Over the years, the commemoration of the greatest victory of light over darkness will turn into an ordinary holiday. A fine excuse to get sloshed and rut like animals in the street. So that is intriguing, based on what we've heard from him and others at this point. The general impression I get is that he's obviously deliberately provoking the Crusaders, but his intention seems to be to not necessarily hurt people, but to counteract the glorification of the crusade. He doesn't want people to laud the crusade successes or to promote them to continue, or to honor the people who die in the process of the crusades. Maybe he just sees them as perpetuating like a vicious cycle. I mean, he doesn't necessarily approve of demons. We haven't really talked about that, but he definitely seems to take particular exception to the sort of self-righteous attitude that a lot of the Crusaders seem to have. I mean, he singled out Halrun. Not to mention, of course, we got a small taste of how the Crusaders look at him from Erebeth. And I guess to a certain extent, it would also, his bitterness and nihilism would make sense, because in his eyes, the Crusade and the Crusaders directly failed him. Because the event at Heaven's Edge was just 10 years ago. That would have been like almost a century into the current Crusades. At that point, I think just about anyone would be getting disillusioned, four failed crusades deep, and the demons still have such a strong foothold in the Mendevian region that they can just barge into a party protected by clerics and paladins and murder everyone inside. Not, I suppose, that Vex would necessarily get all that. So what, you just enjoy being mean to everyone? Yes. It's actually kind of a telling response. And here I thought it was just by accident. Daeran laughs. This time his smile is surprisingly soft. I like your way with words. What did you expect me to say if I wanted to make a good impression? Something along the lines of, I'm not mean, I'm just being honest with myself and everyone else. That's what people use as an excuse when they want to keep up their saccharine facade, while still saying whatever nasty little thoughts spring to mind. That is not what I do. I have no hidden agenda. I'm just as much of an insufferable prick as I seem to be. Some people are simply begging for a good dose of mockery, so who am I to deny them? I don't give a damn if anyone holds a grudge against me, which is why I don't even try to avoid it. Now see, that comes across to me as deliberately trying to push people away. Abrasive behavior to give him an excuse to not have to get close to anyone. That's it. Thanks, Daeran. Excellent. I hope this conversation was at least the slightest bit amusing. Actually, you mind if I get your thoughts on Mendev and the Crusade? You are Mendevian nobility, after all. I feel like you might have some intriguing insight there. Ask. I'm all ears. Alright, what do you think about Mendev in its current state? It doesn't exist. Daeran scowls. It is a frontier country that has attracted every utopian, adventurer, and fanatic from all over the world for more than a century. It is a place where the strangers outnumber the locals, especially in the cemeteries. The population of Mendev, for the most part, consists of humans and other races not exactly known for their longevity. So the current generation of Mendevians were born in the shadow of the World Wound, and raised by the Crusades. I might be the last person to complain about the decline of traditions and lack of character in our country, but I also happen to come from one of Mendev's most ancient lineages. Its history is bred deep in my bones. My tutors told me stories about my heritage. The galleries, libraries, and even the interiors of the manors I grew up in were filled to the brim with memories of events long past. There are many heroes of old Mendev among my glorious ancestors, or at the very least patrons and contemporaries of such heroes. Oh, that's interesting. Does anyone actually remember them now? I don't think so. These days, Mendev has its own heroes in shining armor, with holy fire in their eyes. I myself remember how several streets that once celebrated my ancestors were renamed in honor of some crusaders who had died in a heroic fashion. None of the citizens remember the old crossing festival that was eventually replaced by Armistice. These holidays even share the same date. Pretty much the only authentic thing about Mendev now is its endless war with the demons. And is there a point in bemoaning this state of affairs? What's gone is gone, but at least we are no longer some tiny god-forsaken northern kingdom. And that's something, isn't it? That is an angle I hadn't really thought about. Bitterness at the Crusades essentially supplanting Mendevian culture and history. So I take it you don't like the Crusades? Quite the opposite. When I think about how many devoted heroes are willing to protect this world against the demonic threat, I feel so inspired. Inspired to continue indulging my vices while they fight to keep me safe. Imagine being someone like me. Someone who has everything they can possibly desire. Youth, beauty, wealth, an honest wish to live and enjoy living, but vanishingly few ways to put it all to any use. The fact that the word fun itself is not yet outlawed in Mendev must be due to some bureaucratic oversight. You can celebrate your victory solemnly, you can wet your whistle after a challenging battle, but what about real fun? Joys, pleasures? I can't remember a single evening at court without someone chastening me for my banquets, my lovers and mistresses, my luxuriant clothes, my everything. It would have been a lot easier to tolerate all those hypocrites if they took a break once in a while. Instead, there was a constant fuss about how I wasn't doing anything for the greater good, and how I only brought shame to my royal cousin. Yeah, that certainly wouldn't help, being related to the figurehead of the entire crusade. What about your enemies? You mean the demons themselves, or their followers? The former deserve to be cleansed with heavenly fire for their unholy origin alone, and the latter for their idiocy. I don't understand why a sane person would submit themselves to Discari or Cabriri. Alright, Lady Nocticula almost seems like a bearable enough mistress, yet there are so many other cultists. They've tried to recruit me twice already, and I'm not even that old. First, a very pretty tiefling girl tried to seduce me. Then they came with promises of Lord Baphomet's endless boons. I still wonder what exactly the old hornhead could offer me that I don't already have. You know what I've been thinking? Every shopkeeper knows this trick. An enticing offer along the lines of, 1 in every 100 buns from my bakery contains a silver coin. And of course a hired actress to make a memorable show of finding said coin in her sweet roll. And there you have it. Hundreds of gullible fools storm the shop, hoping to win a prize for themselves. I think the infamous Aurilu Vorlesh was such an actress for the Lords of the Abyss. A petty Sarkorian witch, who became the uncrowned queen of the World Wound, waited upon hand and foot by demon lords. Only, instead of visiting a bakery, the gullible fools rushed to join the cultists. We have an army of unbelievably powerful supernatural invaders from another dimension, hell-bent on destruction and domination. And what do those fools do? They serve them willingly as pawns and lackeys, hoping against hope that someday their masters will notice them. You won't believe how delighted I am to be so vain and self-absorbed. These sins protect me against demonic temptation better than any virtue. All right. Thanks, Daeran. That has actually been surprisingly informative. Wonderful. So with all that in mind, why'd you join me, knowing that I'm being paid to help the Crusades? I am getting paid for this, right? You mean instead of carousing far away from Kenabres with a small army of mercenaries to protect me? I will get to that. You see, when you appeared at my door out of nowhere, awash with bravery and heroism, and started tossing demons around like rag dolls, I thought that your company might be more exciting than my usual crowd of sycophantic hangers-on. You seemed competent and mysterious at the same time, so I decided that a little demon hunting wouldn't hurt, especially with such an intriguing entourage. That party had been growing staler with every passing second anyway. Needless to say, I'm not here for long. I shall return to the capital, or even one of my country estates, as soon as we reclaim the city. Crusades, bellowing commanders, row upon row of identical tents. This is not the life for me, but I will certainly remember you and our adventures together. For a week, or perhaps even longer than that. I am not entirely sure how to read that. It could be a grudging attempt to actually help people, to assist the crusade without admitting that it's actually going to assist the crusade, by trying to parse it in a way that makes it sound inherently selfish. Though it could, of course, also just be a whim. He could just be acting on raw, vain, and murderous impulse. Anyway, real quick, one more conversation. I almost forgot. We need to talk to Rathamus. We didn't do that last time. We need to chat with him about that odd dream we had. Are you all right? Abadar willing, we'll hold out here until the army arrives. Hey, old dude, I've been having some really weird dreams. You have any idea what's going on with that? The priest studies your face carefully. You look tired, but otherwise entirely healthy. If we were anywhere else, I would simply tell you to get some rest. But we are on the border of the world wound, and I am all too aware of what's happening to you. As you know, the wound is a rift between Golarion and the Abyss, and all the evil that feeds the Abyss does the opposite in our world. It feeds on Golarion. So it is that even when we cannot see demons near us, our ultimate foe, the Abyss, is always surrounding us. Many soldiers fighting in the World Wound experience similar things. They suffer terrible nightmares, get no peace, and sometimes even lose their minds. But we are trained to help you with this affliction. By the will of Abadar, I have consecrated an altar here. The god's grace permeates the space around it, soothing one's soul and quieting thoughts during rest. So if you find your nerves are fraying, seek out a holy place like this. Approach it, and all the corruption will be cleansed from you. Okay, so that was basically just a glorified tutorial. That's interesting. But I guess it does make sense, though, because while Wrath does fairly closely follow the Pathfinder tabletop rule set, the whole corruption thing is something that I think was unique to this specific campaign. I don't think that's in the normal rules. So someone who comes into this familiar with Pathfinder might disable the tutorials, assuming they already know how everything works. Hence, this is kind of a workaround to that, making sure to fit in an explanation for the mechanic organically in the actual narrative, so the player still has an idea of exactly how that works. Otherwise, you might just go about adventuring as usual, and then suddenly wonder 20 hours in why all your party members are going crazy. We should really sell that random garbage we just picked up before we head back out. Also, Joran apparently has special dialogue about Daeran. Right, I forgot about that. What's the word on Count Arende? I'll tell you, why not? Everyone knows the story, you see, but you could say that I'm the one who found it, in a way. The Arendes are a very wealthy and ancient line, and they hail from the outlying areas of Kenabres. That's where the Arende family seat is, along with their ancestral lands. In the past, if Mendev was ever feuding with Sarkaris, or some clan from there was causing trouble, the Count and Countess Arende were the ones who would defend the borders with their soldiers. Their main residence was called Heaven's Edge. It still stands to this day, north of here, on the road towards Dresden. But no one lives there now. Around 10 or so years ago, there was a grand celebration held at the estate. The mother and the guardian of the current count invited the great and good to celebrate the birthday. The entire Arende clan was there, as well as many other nobles. And then, without warning, the demons struck. Clearly, they couldn't ignore such a perfect opportunity to cut down so many of Mendev's great dynasties in one fell swoop. There was even a chance that the queen herself would make an appearance, for she was related to the count as well. Well, when no news came from the estate, a troop of inquisitors was sent to investigate. They forced open the gates and discovered a manor full of corpses. They all perished, Joran says sorrowfully. The servants, the guards, the guests, including some of Iomede's chosen clerics and paladins. The demons had unleashed a magical plague, terrifying and strange, the likes of which hadn't been seen before, or since. And among all this was young Daeran Arende, the only survivor. The Count had a talent for divine magic since his youth, healing magic in particular, and that must be why he didn't die along with the rest. He couldn't explain how he survived the disease. I saw him that day when they brought him into the city, pale and barely conscious of his surroundings. So that's the story. Since then, Heaven's Edge has stood abandoned, sealed off to the outside world. People are still afraid to go to that place. Interesting. Not a lot in the way of new information there, but it does give us some slightly different context. Plus the eyewitness account of Daeran afterwards. Clearly distraught or traumatized, which, obviously. But I guess it does at least go against the idea that he was somehow behind the disaster. At any rate, I think that's quite enough talking for now, so let us collect our resident courtesan and be on our way. Horgus Worm awaits, as does that 2,000 gold payout he promised us. Okay, so we are pretty much going to gun it straight for Gorm's Mansion. Even though we do have new material waiting for us at the Market Square, and we've got those other optional locations, of course. And then we've also got these ingredient nodes, which we might need to grab Nenio for. I don't want to do any of that other stuff until we've finished Gorm's Mansion and swapped Waljip back in, though. So, yeah. We'll gun it for the mansion. We'll take care of Camellia's thing today. And then next time around, we'll swing back to the Defender's Heart, swap Waljip back in, and then we'll tackle the rest of the optional stuff. And I'll probably do the ingredient gathering off screen. There's nothing really exciting to see there. It's just skill checks. Oh, but I guess we gotta warm up first. That's fine. In fact, this actually works to our advantage because, My throat's a little raw after I've been yammering for half an hour, and I need to rearrange our hotbars and our formation to reflect all the new stuff we just set up. So let's hit the pause button real quick. I'll take care of all that stuff, I'll grab a drink, and we'll be right back. Adventure awaits. And we're back. Buffs are up, hotbars rearranged, formation set, and thirst quenched. Let's get back to it. Come on, cultists, what have you got for me? Ooh, an alchemist. Okay, that's not bad. Though, of course, all on his own out in front like that, we're going to make pretty short work of him.
You've crossed the wrong mongrel.
And down he goes. Let that be a lesson for the next life. Don't put your casters up front. Two guys left. This is barely even a fight. Away with the hamstring, the Achilles tendon. Oh, but that guy stayed standing. Right, because it was only Vex attacking. Kaz spent his entire action moving. That's one.
You won't survive me.
And that's two. I mean, these guys were just marauders. That's like one of the weakest enemy types in the entire game. So it's certainly nothing to brag about, but it did get us some slight loot, and it did get us set up for the tougher encounters ahead of us. Actually, hold on real quick. I'm not happy with the spacing on our front rank. I'll just swap the position of the mounts and riders. That should buy us a little extra room. Yeah, I feel like that's a little better. Okay, onward. Yet more ingredients for us to gather. Nothing for us to worry about right now. Gwyrm's Mansion. This mansion in the city's wealthy quarter looks grand, but not overly opulent. It didn't attract a lot of enemy attention during the demonic invasion, perhaps due to the fact that its guards and servants had fled right after the first attack, and demons are usually more interested in living victims than in their empty homes. Though that certainly doesn't preclude the presence of looters or cultists. Orgus, it is somewhat good to see you. Ah, there you are, at last. You certainly took your time. I thought perhaps you got lost on the way here. I was already regretting not drawing you a map. Orgus's relief is palpable, even through its grousing. It's a tragedy to see one's house in such a sorry state. And I always had a few guards in my service, you know. I hope those blockheads died honorably and didn't simply flee at the first sign of danger. Horgus turns towards the corridor with a pensive expression on his face. My manor, you see, contains several items that are of great value to me. I wish to retrieve them before they are discovered by my fellow citizens, who in the current chaos seem to have taken to thieving and marauding like ducks to water. So here's what I want you to do. Take a stroll through my house, peek into the rooms, and if you find anyone, kill them on the spot. That'll teach any other opportunist to stay away from Horgus Squirm's manor. While I was standing here by the entrance, I could clearly hear the sound of someone rooting around inside. Any possessions of mine you find in there, you can keep. It's all as good as lost to me anyway. When you're sure the house is empty, give me a signal from my study window. Wave a torch around or something like that. You can decide when you get there. I've done many things in my life, but playing the part of an intrepid mercenary rummaging through someone else's tastelessly decorated and poorly planned mansion is a novelty to me. How droll. I deeply regret that you had to participate in this, my dear Count. Come now, I love a good caper, even when the setting offends my aesthetic sensibilities. So, Gwyrm, what exactly is so valuable that you're willing to risk your life like this? That doesn't seem like you. Never you mind. I'm paying you to clear out the ruffians inside, not to ask questions. Horgus glares at you for a few seconds before dropping his gaze. In any case, you will learn what this is all about just as soon as you clear the way to my study for me. So, restrain your curiosity for now. You're sad about your things. Because of them, you want us to kill people. Don't lecture me about right and wrong. If it gives you some comfort, let me assure you that marauders are not innocent little lambs. Far from it. They would gladly kill you to get their hands on my possessions. Mark my words. So I take it you're not coming with us? Ha! The very notion. You think I hire guards to do my bidding just so I can put myself in danger along with them? No. I've taken on my fair share of risk already today. But all the same, you took the risk of coming here, even though you were well aware of the danger. What is it that draws you here so strongly, like a moth to flame? Camellia, that's enough. Oh, it seems I hit a sore spot. She quickly covers the smile that flits across her face. Cam, could you maybe antagonize him after we get paid? Alright, Gwyrm, I think we get it. Well, get on with it. Or are you waiting for a special order? I shall await your signal. Horgus pauses. And, good luck in there, I suppose. Gosh, thanks. Alright, and now it is time for some old-fashioned adventuring. Not quite a dungeon, but close enough. Kaz, where are you going? Door is right here, buddy. Looks clear. I see. Tiger was scouting ahead. That's very nice of him. Servant quarters, I assume.
What's on your mind? I wonder.
A box filled with a variety of whips and floggers. That's not unsettling, right next to the servant's room. A set of collars of various sizes. Chains, handcuffs, and shackles. A collection to rival a prison's. The Sickle of Falter. +1 sickle. On hit, target must pass a low savings throw or become staggered for 1 round. I mean, that's not terrible. Stagger would reduce their actions from 2 to 1 for a single round, but the downside there, though, is that DC is so low, it would only stay viable for the first quarter of the game, maybe. And that's being pretty generous.
We will win this war.
You can trust me.
Honestly, I think the big question here is, why Gorm would even have that thing. Along with, all the chains and whips and whatnot. That does seem a bit odd. Okay, that's fine.
Out of my sight!
And that's that. We're looking to run a bit long today, so I just figured I'd keep these fights moving. I'm actually not sure if any of the fights here will end up challenging us all that much. We might be a bit ahead of the curve for this particular location. And Pathfinder Wrath doesn't scale to your level, though it does scale quite rapidly as you progress through the campaign. New recipe? I like that they now mark these with a feather token, quill token, to indicate whether you've recorded them or not. That also extends to scrolls, and it's context sensitive by character, so it makes it a lot easier to tell which scrolls we still need for Waljif and Nenio. That is very ornate for a 1 gold piece dagger. Oh. Ember, why are you in the lead? What is happening? Alright, well, let's get in there. We do not have surprise, so let's pile onto the caster, see if we can catch him in mid-cast. Cambion and back, with what looks to be either a scimitar or falchion. And the caster got cast. I guess that makes the Cambion our next biggest threat, though he is a bit far away, so we'll just take down the cultist first. Ah, alright. I guess that guy gets one attack in. Hang back helpful. Nice. Oh, he went after Zorm. Weird. It would have been way easier for him to hit Risk. And now he dies. So far, so good. No significant loot, but looks like we do get a bunch of lore books. The Notes of a Traveling Priest, Ilthuliak, by Tyron Dean. And Fairy Tales of Avestan. We'll just set those aside for now. I think at least 2 of those are duplicates. Books we already got from other optional locations. And I'm fairly certain Prodigal Sons is a carryover from Kingmaker. And Secret Overlords, the Essence of the World Order, which again I think is a carryover. Oh yeah. See that one there, the Cooking Almanac of the Inner Sea, that is definitely a Kingmaker book, because it's by Jubilos Narthropple. But that's fine, I'll probably still read them anyway when we do another reader episode. I'm not actually even sure if we read those books back when we did when we were doing the Kingmaker series, which I do hope to return to at some point. Adventures of a Fearless Crusader, Briggy the Sausage Maker. That one I do remember from the beta, but we never ended up reading it, which some of my viewers were very sad about, so we'll definitely get around to it this time. Honestly, just from this room alone, we might now have enough to do another entire lore episode. So I'll take stock of that when we're back in the tavern again. The reader episodes do tend to be a bit less popular, but that's fine. I still enjoy doing them. Alright, moving on. Lots of pretty scenery, but nothing we can actually interact with. The door to the garden is blocked. Opening it is currently impossible. Well, fine. I didn't want to go out there anyway. You know, I really should stop rushing into these rooms. But on the other hand, not much to worry about, really. Ooh. Silver Robe. +1 on saves against fear. Certainly not the most exciting item, but that is just fine, because we finally have something nice for Ember to wear. Now we just gotta get that poor gal some shoes. And maybe some fingers if we happen to find some lying around. Oh, trap. Yep, trap. There we go. Sophisticated instruments of torture. The purpose of some can only be guessed at. Okay, look, there were a lot of ways we could construe the whips and chains. Those could be anything from harsh discipline to weird kinks, but these are a bit harder to explain away. Maybe? No, you know what? I'm not gonna put too much thought into that. We'll just assume it means something bad. The door is locked by some unusual or magical means. There is no lock to be seen. That's probably normal. Abracandaloo. Definitely not a lone threat, so let's bring Cam up to get a gander at the rest of the room. Oh, just one more Abracandaloo. That is nothing to worry about.
I will see to your demise.
No, Ember, that is not what I wanted you to do, but that's fine. That's my fault. I pushed the wrong button. Just hang out there, sweetheart. We'll take care of this.
Endure this!
I'll cut you wide open!
Oh. So when Zorm attempts a biting trip, it does provoke, which isn't what normally happens, I think. I feel like, yeah, we've never seen that happen with Kaz or Helpful. Interesting. Not that it really made a difference in the end, but that is still good to know. Magic Essence, now marked as a quest item, I see. An essence obtained through painstaking distillation of rare magical ingredients. An expensive and valuable substance, sought after by craftsmen and wizards who create magical items. Neat. We'll take it. Worm did tell us to help ourselves. Hey, look at that. We actually spotted some enemies before we provoked them. And we've got eyes on a wizard. Also, Ember, please stop going in front of the party. What is going on with you? Okay, let's try this. Wizard's still standing, but only just. So let's start whittling down another target. Wait. Why can I not charge? That's weird. Oh, we've got a dwarf. Discari cultist. Well, that's kind of neat. We've never seen a dwarven cultist before. I guess they added some extra variety to the enemy ranks. That's nice. Wizard down.
Precision and grace.
Nice hit. Very helpful. And down goes the Abracandaloo. But no luck on the dwarf. I figured. Oh, hi. Cambion Ranger, just hiding in back. Stay down, please.
I'll make short work of this.
Ooh. Thank you, Zorm. And we're done. I will give them credit, though. They actually got a hit in. Also, I will say, I'm very much liking the increased variety of enemies. It's a small thing, but it is nice to see them using less copy-paste opponents. Hold on. That's better. That asymmetrical formation was inevitably going to drive me mad. Room's clear. Those expensive tiles are absolutely ruined by Risk's hooves. Almost done. Oh, here we go. Cultist Slayer. Nice helmet. Ow. Slayer's our biggest threat. Let's knock him out first. Oh, well. Okay. I got so used to Ember missing all her slumbers that kind of caught me off guard. Still a nice helmet, though.
Make every strike count.
Oh. 2 absolutely lovely scrolls to toss to Waljeff next time we see him. I have been told that apparently that's part of, like, an Act 5 thing. I have no idea what it actually is. But I was told not to worry about it too much after I encountered it back in the beta. Babow. Not a great start. And I can't charge again, for some reason. They did recently patch mounted combat, so maybe they finally changed it so you can't charge through allies. That would match tabletop, Cambion, and Abracandaloo and back. Let's tie up the ads. Keep these guys from getting flanking bonuses. What? Oh, trap chest. Got it.
Into the fray!
Slightly better. Hey! Low damage, but knocked prone. Thanks, thanks, Daeran. Ah, nice. He's fallen and he can't get up.
Did you see that?
Oh. Oh my goodness. Well, that is less than ideal. Bow down before me. Let's bring Daeran up, and he'll fire off a channel next round.
You've crossed the wrong mongrel.
Wow. Zorm is pissed. But who can blame him? Nice, nice. Alright, group up everyone. Nice work. Let's get everyone topped off. And I believe that's it. Let's clear the room and then we'll signal Horgus.
The spirits guide me.
That's nice. Shortbow of Code. +1 shortbow with an additional +1 to hit against chaotic creatures. Nothing to write home about, but not bad, I suppose, if you have a shortbow wielder. A non-strength-based shortbow wielder. And with that, I think we are done. The mansion is clear. You're alive. Fine work. My secret door remains unopened. Fantastic. I wasn't too late. If you'll follow me. Family secrets about to be revealed. It's so thrilling. Oh, good. We spotted a secret door. I never would have noticed. Ah, so many shiny things we can't take. That is one of the disconnects with games like this. But I suppose a +1 breastplate will do. We will certainly take that. The painting depicts a thin blonde boy with sickly pale skin. The caption reads, Horgus Squirm, 9 years of age.
I heed the voice of the spirits.
A happy family, Horgus, an unknown half-elf, and their dark-haired young daughter. The painting is captioned, Horgus Squirm, Iris, and Camellia. Ah, I see. The paintings are right where I left them. Very good. Horgus Squirm thanks you for your help. There's something off about the paintings in front of you. The blonde-haired boy in the Gwyrm family colors doesn't look like Horgus in the least. The family portrait depicts Horgus alongside an unknown half-elf woman and a little girl who bears a striking resemblance to Camellia. Also, there's a caption that identifies her as Camellia, but, you know, details. Wow, you've changed quite a bit since your youth, huh? So you've noticed. It seems there's no point in hiding it anymore. Horgus is silent for a few moments, then sighs and presses his lips into a hard line. You see, I have 2 secrets. Camellia is, in fact, my daughter, and I'm not the real Horgus Squirm. What, you mean you're not the blonde albino kid? No way. My real name is Daeran Witt. My parents were the servants of the real Gwyrms, at their mansion on the eastern edge of Mendev. The Gwyrms were generous and noble, but short-sighted. They burned through most of their fortunes on charity, when instead they should have taken better care of guarding the mansion. When I was 10 or so, I used to play in the garden with the real Horgus Squirm, who was just my age. I've no idea where the demons came from. Horgus ran to the mansion, and I bolted in the opposite direction. He was captured and killed, and I wasn't. Horgus shrugs apologetically. Crusaders came from the nearest city to aid us, but I was the only one who survived. They asked me my name, and I said I was Horgus Squirm. That's the whole story. Such a heart-wrenching tale. It never fails to bring tears to my eyes. You are in no position to judge me, Camellia. Horgus's hands curl into fists, but his voice sounds more tired than angry. You're right. I'm not. Daeran's expression is strained as he listens to Horgus's confession. A small boy in a manor under attack by demons. Such a familiar tale. Mendev has many such tales, but there are rarely any survivors. Take poor Horgus, for instance. He didn't make it. You were fortunate, Count, assuming you're not hiding anything. Horgus gives an awkward shrug, making it clear he was speaking in jest. That's interesting. A rare glimpse of vulnerability from Daeran. He occasionally shows sympathy for other people who you might consider victims of the Crusade. Horgus, Ember. Look, Horgus, I got nothing against you. You didn't do anything to me, and I get it. I understand why you did what you did. You were a kid. You don't gotta explain yourself. Horgus seemed surprised, as if he had been expecting a much stronger reaction. Never mind. I'd only like to assure you that your claim about not hurting anyone is absolutely correct. The vast fortune of the Gwyrms had no rightful heirs. If there had been any heirs, I would most definitely have transferred ownership to them. You committed a crime, and since then you have tried to atone. But let me guess. No matter how much good you do, the guilt stays with you? It's true. How do you know this? I also made a mistake as a child. Mine was much more serious than yours, in deed and in consequences. Many years passed before I learned to be at peace with it, so I'm in no position to judge you. It is difficult for me to speak openly about secrets which I have kept all these years. I have been hostage to them my entire life, as strange as that sounds. So Cam's your daughter, huh? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yes, illegitimate, that is to say. Horgus's cheeks redden. She has resided in this house since birth. The staff thought she was a niece, or the daughter of a friend who died in the Crusades. I never disabused them of their notions. Her mother, Iris, was a half-elf of humble origins. She worked in the gardens here. I wanted to unite the Gwyrm family with another noble line. The Gwyrm name could not be permitted to mix with the commoners, and thereby plunge into insignificance. Iris did not protest, and we successfully hid our connection. And when Camellia was born, I did not claim her as my own. As far as Mendev knows, Camellia is the daughter of a Gwyrm family servant who died over 10 years ago. And before you start telling me what a terrible father I am, I want to tell you something. My daughter wanted for nothing. All her whims were fulfilled as quickly as they arose. I hired the best teachers and bought her the best books. She always ate well and had warm clothes. Isn't that what a parent does? A bit defensive there, Gwyrm. You've discovered my most terrible secret. Father cares so much about the Gwyrm name that he raised me in our mansion, hiding me away from the whole world. I'll always be grateful to my father for everything he's done for me, even if Mendev society disapproves of some of his decisions. Would it be insolent of me to beg for your discretion regarding what you now know about us? Damn it all, and I thought Horgus as dull as ditchwater. But now he brings this delightful offering of a stolen identity, a secret half-elf lover, and a bastard daughter. I'm afraid you've rather put me to shame. So why loop us into this? Aren't you afraid one of us might tell? I mean, I can keep a secret, but Kaz, once he's in the catnip. Are you threatening me? Red blotches instantly appear on Horgus's face. I'm not afraid. After today, you won't have a shred of proof. Who will people believe? A noble citizen of Kenabres? Or a mercenary blowhard? Easy there, Horgus. I would ask that you keep the secrets of the Gwyrm family in confidence. I would hate to end our fledgling friendship over this. Uh-huh. So tell me, Gwyrm, what's it like to live your whole life pretending to be someone else? When I was a boy, I used to hate Horgus. The condescension most of all. The pity on his face. His smile when he called me to join him in his games. The difference in our birthright wasn't fair. Envy clouded my mind. Then the demons killed him and not me, and I thought it was a gift of fate. I seized my good fortune with both hands and never let go. When I told them my name was Horgus Gwyrm, the only heir to the vast fortune of the Gwyrm family. On that day, life was fair. Unfortunately, it took me many years to see the generosity behind the condescension, and feel the compassion behind the pity. I discovered far too late that Horgus was my friend, even when I didn't feel myself his. I never accepted the hand of friendship he offered until it was far too late. But now, what can I do? Reveal the truth? Reject the name and allow it to sink into oblivion? Would my friend Horgus want this? Horgus shakes his head, tired. I bear the name of Horgus Gwyrm with the pride and dignity it deserves. As a banner on a battlefield. I will multiply its merits. The Gwyrm family will not be forgotten. I still serve Horgus Gwyrm. Horgus attempts a smile, but the result is pathetic. Well, this just got awkward, but, okay. So what's next for you, Lord Gwyrm? Well, first and foremost, I shall reward you handsomely for your help, and then I shall burn these portraits. I have kept them all this time out of misplaced sentiment, but they serve no purpose now. My ravaged home will likely be picked to the bone, and the secret room will inevitably be discovered. I don't want these paintings to be seen by anyone else. I suppose the real question here isn't necessarily whether what Horgus did is forgivable or not, or whether he should turn himself in or continue perpetuating the lie to protect himself and or Camellia, but more what Vex would do. And honestly, given how much money Vex is being paid, I don't think he'd really care. So... You certainly earned your payment. Here, it was a pleasure doing business with you. Horgus is silent for a while. Camellia, I can tell from your face that you enjoyed fighting the demons with this worthy party. I only ask you one thing. Are you certain? Camellia doesn't answer, but looks at Horgus, with a half-smile lingering on her lips. Well then, clearly I can no longer keep you safe. Our house is destroyed, our servants scattered or dead. Horgus stares into his daughter's face, as though he is seeking the answer to an unasked question. Then he turns his attention to you. But now, follow me. We'll make sure that no one ever again discovers the secrets of Horgus Gwyrm. Scorched frames and burned canvases. No one will ever know what these paintings showed. Well, that's that then. Thank you for your help. Farewell, and watch over Camellia. And thus ends another sordid tale of Old Sargeras, or New Mendeb, or the World Wound. Regardless, I'm sure this isn't the last we'll be hearing about this. All the companions seem to have arcs that span the entire campaign. I've never really explored Camellia's past Act 3, so I am curious to see where it ultimately ends up going. whilst I have played a few for fun campaigns on the side, I've never taken any of them more than about the halfway point of the overall campaign. I've made it as far as early Act 4, and then I usually hit the pause button because I'm waiting for more patches. And I've certainly never done it with a Trickster, so I'm sure that is going to change quite a few things. Because I'll tell you right now, being a Lich, a Demon, an Azada, those all change things pretty significantly. Which is nice. I do like that. That really gives the game a lot of replay value because you want to see what the other paths have to offer. How they change the overall story and how they create ripple effects that change more and more events the further into the campaign you get. At any rate, we have definitely run long. We're coming up on the hour-and-a-half mark here, but that's fine. We accomplished what we set out to do, which was the Horgus Gwyrm and parenthetical also Daeran episode. So, I think that brings us to a pretty good breakpoint. We'll hit the pause button for now, and we will pick up here next time. As we do one more episode, I think, of tying up our last few loose ends around Kenabres, before we officially kick off the final grand event of Act 1. See you then. Oh, and remember, although I do love playing Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, you can find out more about the game by visiting the official website, the official social media feeds, or the official store pages. And if you'd like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things, or maybe even check out the Patreon. Links are in the description.
The spirits guide me.